Caribou, welcome to Wisdom Exchange TV. This is an Ignite Excellence initiative in support of Africa Businesswomen Connected Summit taking place in Ethiopia in 2013. The Wisdom Exchange is a resource to help African women learn, lead, and succeed in life, business, and community. It is a forum where women of all disciplines will learn from leading women in politics, philanthropy, education, and business. These are the women that are the change agents of the African companies, community, countries, and continent. They will inspire us to stretch what we can do and what we can be. New interviews and expert perspective blogs will be uploaded regularly on the website. And these are the leaders of today for tomorrow. Hello, my name is Suzanne F Stevens. I'm the host and the producer of Wisdom Exchange TV. I'm also the founder of the Ignite Excellence Foundation, which mission is leadership, advocacy, and education. Our mission is to invest, inspire, and educate the women leaders in developing countries for tomorrow. As an inspirational speaker, coach, as well as the owner of the Ignite Excellence group of initiatives, it gives me great honor to be in Nairobi, Kenya today to interview another woman leader. Today, we are introducing Joyce Muraya. Now, Joyce is the Kenyan Country Director for Amani Ya Juu, meaning higher peace in Swahili. Amani Ya Juu is a fair trade, non-for-profit organization that was started in 1996. It is a sewing and marketing training project for marginalized women in Africa. Its purpose is find a higher peace that transcends ethnic differences and improves women's living conditions by a steady, reasonable stream of income generated from sewing projects. Today, Amani itself portrays a unique picture of diversity with over 80 women coming from countries such as Rwanda, Congo, Uganda, Sudan, Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, as well as other African countries. The main center is the center that we're at today in Kenya, with sister centers in Rwanda, Burundi, Liberia, and the United States. Please, let's welcome Joyce. Hello, Joyce. So good to finally meet you and see you again. I guess it's been about 5 years ago when I first came here and bought a lot of things from the store. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place.
Thank you and welcome to Amani Ya Juu.
Thank you. Now, you've been working here since 2006.
That's right.
And since it's been around 96, can you just give us a brief history of what was the catalyst for this in the first place? I know it wasn't your vision, but you joined this vision.
Okay, Amani Ya Juu was started 15 years ago by an American missionary who had to flee Liberia as a result of war, and she came here, and out of that refugee experience, she began to empathize with the many refugees that were flowing into Kenya from the different countries around us. And she started it off with three women, two from Sudan and one from Mozambique. And that's how Amani started. Now we have over 80 women. That's where it started.
And it's such a beautiful place here with the gardens, the cafe, the sewing, the tapestries on the wall. So it's definitely grown. Now in Rwanda and in your other locations, does it look this beautiful?
It is beautiful. It's different. It's a different context. Some of the centers, Amani's growth is very organic. So the centers grow according to the need that there is in the different places. So they don't all look alike. They're different. Yeah.
So what was it that brought you to work for this organization?
The dry bit of it is the fact that Amani needed a ministry coordinator, something like a chaplain. And I was working as a pastor at that time with the church. But I think what brought me to this place was the fact that I have always wanted to work with women. I did work briefly with a project for women with our church where we were doing microfinancing, and that then so Amani found congruence with the vision that I have of what God has called me to do.
So what do you find the most rewarding element of your career now?
Different things give me joy. I think seeing a woman walk in broken, confused sometimes, not knowing where her next meal is going to come from. And in a few months beginning to see her transformation as she recognizes who she is and she feels accepted and knows that she is able to feed her family. I said accepted, I think that's a big thing here.
Yes.
She's able to feed her family and she's able to just find dignity in working and doing the things that a woman wants to do for her family.
Now, is everyone at Amani still refugees?
No, we have Kenyan women, women who have found themselves falling through the cracks of the systems, widows who are struggling because of inheritance issues, just different individuals who have struggled. And so we have about 45% Kenyan population.
So what would be the hardest part of your job and what you do here?
I think the hardest part remains hearing the stories of the women and just listening to the struggles that they have had to live with. Now that's the ministry side of it. The harder part is not being able to sell our products, because we definitely need to sell our products so that the women can find a livelihood. So like for example, when we had a slump in the world economy, that really hurt us and we struggled. So that was pretty hard to live through. Yeah.
Now, do you sell most of your products where?
We sell a lot of our products through our shop.
Mm-hmm.
I would say about 55% of our products is sold through the shop, and about 45 to 50% of our product is exported to the United States.
Okay.
So you can see how that hurt us.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You'll have to look at Canada, sending some to us as well.
Yes, we certainly will. We're open. We want to reach the world with a message of peace.
Now, there's fair trade is a huge value at Amani.
Yeah.
And with that, do you feel there are two most important practices that help with business sustainability at Amani that are fair trade practices?
I think one of the things is that we certainly seek to give the women a just wage, which is higher than, I would say, than the basic wage here in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
But we also are cognizant that these are women and they have families, so we allow them to bring their children, we allow them to work at home. Those are some of the things that we do just to encourage the women.
Which kind of leads to, or would those be the same two things that help women feel their prosperity, that they are being successful, is that they do have that flexibility? Is there anything else that would help them feel that they've really been contributing?
Well, certainly, every product that goes out bears the name of the woman who made it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so we recognize that this is not a factory that just processes. There are individuals and stories attached to each and every product that we sell.
So, those are important values. What are some of your values that you've been able to sort of marry with Amani, or one of the reasons you came here, or that you impose on Amani?
One of the things I believe is that everybody has something to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
And so leadership development is a big thing here at Amani. And one of the things I love to do is draw women in to first starting with little tasks into leadership and just watching them blossom. I love to see when we have our devotion in the morning or prayer in the morning, and I make the schedule, which I still love to do, and ask one of the newer women to come and lead us in prayer. And I've had people come and say with me, you remembered me. You remember that I'm part of this organization. It's great to have them lead when our children come for the holiday program. It's great to put women in charge of the different aspects of program and seeing them just begin to see their worth because they're contributing to something that's important to Amani.
Now, do they have leadership projects as well that if you decide to make a certain type of necklace or certain bags or things along those lines, would one person lead any of those projects, or is that an independent thing?
The different things, the leadership projects that we have would be primarily developing women to take on responsibilities within the organization. So for example, in the different departments, we have women leaders, people who have grown through the system. And that would be an area. Then the other thing would be partnerships, where we select women who have shown leadership and send them out to partner with organizations that are asking, can you send us a stitcher who can train children? Like that's going to happen this holiday in August. Mm-hmm. We have an organization that wants us to train a group of children, a group of orphans. And so we're going to select one woman and she's going to go and do that. Or for example, when we have other organizations, we had a church in Kampala that asked us to send 2 women to go and train a group of women on making dolls a few years back. So those are the leadership opportunities that we have.
Now, speaking of leadership, one of the things I said to you is I found it very difficult to find information about you. And you said to me, because it's not about me, talk more about that element of leadership, that it isn't about you as a leader.
You know, I believe that God has called me to this position, not so that I can speak about myself, but so that I can empower other women. And that's a phrase that's used all the time, but so that I can walk with other women so that they can find themselves and they can learn how to walk strong. So it's not about me, it's about them. Yeah.
Do you think that is one of the most significant elements of leadership?
You know, I think it's a very significant element of leadership. I think there are places where people are called into leadership and are expected to be upfront and visible. I think there are places like that, but I don't think my leadership Amani is about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that's the kind of leadership that I'm called to here at Amani. Maybe God will call me to that upfront leadership. I hope not. But that's not it here.
And there's always other people for that roles. Yeah. So beyond Amani, you know, you've had a career as a pastor, and before that you were
a businesswoman.
A businesswoman. Yeah. So you've done some real changes.
Yeah.
So what would be some of the most significant decision you've made in that career?
As a businesswoman or as...
Your career as a whole.
I think one of the biggest decisions I've made is, and that's to do with my personal life as a wife and as a mother, is that I chose to pick up responsibilities and to work in spaces where it allows me to be present and available for my family. That's a choice I made. And that has had its limitations. It means that I don't travel very much. I haven't traveled very much. I started traveling when my kids got older. I didn't take work that took me away from home in the evening. I still don't. So those are some of the choices that I've made.
Now, we know Amani is a place of coming together, eliminating diversity to the best of ability, and getting and bringing countries together. But it's also, as you said, some of the most challenges is the business part. It is a business at the end of the day. So Have you ever implemented a project, any project in any part of your career, but it could be here, that really just did not work?
The first time I worked with women was with a microfinance that was funded by our church. And I was charged with giving loans and managing those loans with the individuals, with the women that I was working with. And that just didn't work out. The money never came back. And the project didn't take off after that. So that was very humbling, because this was other people's money that I was lending, and I was just unable to get the group to be faithful enough to bring back the money, and that was difficult.
So if you were to do something like that again, what would you do differently? Have you thought about that?
I think one of the things that I recognize now is the fact that if an institution is recognized as a compassion, giving institution, you certainly don't want to go into money lending. It's not going to work. So probably creating a separate entity that would do that, that would be the best way to go about something like that. So
that's a really good point. It's almost like the mission gets muddied.
That's right.
So that's very good advice for microfinancing organizations, and I guess why a lot of banks do it. You don't expect to get much from a bank. So what impact has Amani made on you in your life?
I think Amani has grown me as a leader. I did a lot of supports leadership, leading from the second chair, as it were, in the various places that I worked. But I think Amani has grown me in my profile as a leader, in my skills as a leader. Amani has also allowed me to share of the gifts that I have in myself. Amani is a place where I'm able to completely, every aspect of my makeup and my background has been utilized in this place. Like I said, I have a business background and I'm involved in business. I have a ministry background and I'm involved in ministry. So that's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I've always believed that people, all the jobs that we have in life, lead us to what we're supposed to be doing, our purpose, if you will.
That's true.
Do you feel that this is your purpose, or what is your purpose?
I think for this season, this is my purpose. I also know that I'm not entirely in control of my destiny, because there is one who has placed me on this earth. So for this season, I know this is it.
Is there any advice that you could give to women to find their purpose?
One of the things that I tell women is that there is always a next step. Yeah. Sometimes we want to find our purpose written in neon, out there and with a path that's lit. But that's not the way it is. Sometimes it's just taking the next step that you see available for you. At some point, it may be just leading a small group of women, participating in the estate groups, security. We have security groups here in Kenya. Just participating in the little groups, and that could be the next step for you as you grow.
Very well said. Prior to gaining your momentum and being at Amani, what obstacles did you foresee and inhibiting your success? I mean, you've had a good career and will continue to have one, I'm sure. But what obstacles did you see that, I don't know if I can get there? And how did you deal with them?
I think one of the things that I continue to recognize is the knowledge gap. I don't know everything there is to know. For example, one of the things that I I must say is that I've had to learn how to read books of accounts. That's not something I trained in. And so that's a knowledge gap, and that's meant spending time perusing the account reports, or sometimes even taking them home to my husband. So he's an accountant, so he can help me interpret them.
You married well then.
So that just sometimes is what it requires. That's the knowledge gap, and then recognizing that as a leader, you are called to influence people. That not everybody is going to want to be influenced by you. So that's another obstacle that I've found.
Now, has the knowledge gap stopped you from doing anything?
Because I love to do things well, sometimes it has. Yeah, I hesitant to step into a place where I don't have all the facts. Maybe that's a personality thing. So sometimes that keeps me from taking the next step and learning along the way.
Now, what do you do in those situations though? Do you find another way to do it, or do you elicit help from somebody else, or how do you deal with that?
Well, here at Amani, one of the things that give me joy is that we have people who have skills. So and we are constantly having people who volunteer to help us in different things. So just accepting that I don't know and asking for help is one of the things that I've learned to do. Yeah. And the other thing is just going out and trying to learn, even if it's just the basics.
This is a good opportunity for our Edginess segment, which is Edginess Insight. And what I mean by that is something that you've had to do that makes you uncomfortable, but as a result of doing it, you've met the enhanced version of Joyce as a result. Is there something that you've had to do that you've been really uncomfortable doing, but you have to do it in order to be successful?
I think, like I said, it's probably to do with the knowledge gap. Sometimes I've had to take risks, and I'm not a risk taker. I like to know the facts. I want to know 5 steps in advance. And that's been difficult. Yeah.
Can you think of one risk that you had to take that you really didn't want to?
One of the things that we are trying to do at Amani is increase our local profile. We're not always very visible here in Nairobi. And one of the things that I did was call a group of my friends to my house. That was a risk as far as I was concerned, and speak to them about what Amani does. And I was hoping to sell some of the product to them. Well, it didn't sell, but they did get to know a little bit about Amani, and some of them have since then come to visit.
It's often most difficult to ask friends and family, isn't it? You hope they're going to rally around you, but it's a tough sell. That's why I always recommend going to somebody 2 people removed from you. They're easier to sell because if they say no, they're not saying no to you personally. That's always been my strategy. Thanks for sharing your edginess, because taking risks can be really, really challenging and uncomfortable for some people more than others. Now, you do have gifts. You're successful for a reason. And what are some of the natural gifts that you've been able to bring to every career that you've had?
Like I said, I don't like talking a lot about myself.
This is a risk.
I think I am compassionate. And that's something that I have brought to every career opportunity that I have. I want to see people do well. That's something that I bring to every single place that I have. And then I don't like failing. Yeah, I like to succeed in the whatever it is that I do. So I will push to ensure that my projects actually succeed. I give more than 100%. Yeah.
So while achieving your objective, how often do you feel uncomfortable?
How often? I think it depends on where in the process we're at. I think at the beginning, I'm probably 100% uncomfortable with starting any process off, because then you're not sure of all the factors. I've learned that you can't be 100%, you can't have everything in place to start a project 100%. So that's an uncomfortable place. As it goes on and as it unwinds, as an objective begins to look like it's unfolding, then probably the sense of discomfort dissipates a little bit. Yeah.
Can you give us an actual example of where you felt, okay, I'm not comfortable going forward here, but we're going to, and you saw a change as a result?
Yeah. One of the systems that one of the things is changing pre-existing systems. With an organization like Amani that's grown from 3 to 80, there are bound to be things that we started doing when we were 3 that don't work when we're 80. And having to change those. We now have almost 3 or 4 tiers of leadership here, and changing the way we manage ourselves was difficult. Recognizing that the leadership team, or the broad leadership team, is not working, and bringing it down to a smaller group was quite difficult. And it met with a lot of opposition. And my leadership style is more intense and involved one-on-one. So I found that working with that very large group is not helping. You just needed to concentrate on a smaller group of people. So that was difficult.
So when you do have those uncomfortable situations, how do you deal with them?
One is actually to keep confirming to myself that this is what we need to do. And sometimes it's by looking back at the reasons why I'm doing what needs to be done, or just speaking to individuals to confirm. I have peer mentors, friends of mine that I call up and I tell them, this is what I'm doing. Does it sound right? And sometimes they will redirect me with questions, and that usually helps. I'm open and vulnerable to them as much as possible so that they can help me process some of those things. It might not always be possible to do it within this context, because being the person who's in charge, people are looking to you for answers, not always looking to you, not always available to you to give you that kind of support.
And that's where you have to go to people outside of that network, right?
That's right.
And do you have a network? So you do have a network of women that you will talk to? Is it a formal network or just informal network?
These are women that are, no, it's an informal network.
Okay.
Yeah, they're individuals that I've met along the way. Some of them I met them in school at AIU. Some of them are people that I've worked with previously. Some of them are friends.
So what have you learned about yourself in those moments of discomfort?
Like I said, one of the things that I've learned about myself is that I don't like to fail. I've learned that I want people to like me. So when I'm doing things that are unpopular, it's really difficult. Yeah.
You have to do them anyway, though. What does success mean to you?
As a person,
Yes.
or I think success to me means being fulfilled, a sense of contentment, a sense of rightness in what I'm doing. Yeah, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing now, and I'm doing it well. That's success.
So how would you define leadership then?
Successful leadership.
Or just leadership? If you were to define it, how would you define that?
I think leadership is about getting people to the place that they need to go, or getting an organization to the place that they need to go, using the gifts and the talents that are available to you within yourself and around you to achieve a specific objective or specific objectives.
Wonderful. So, as a leader, I'm sure you have some advice to provide, sort of leadership lessons, if you will, for a woman that is starting out a new project, or someone who's been very successful for a very long time. What would be your 3 leadership lessons that you'd like to share?
I think one very significant one, and this is something that I've wrestled with over the years, is the fact that material available out there on leadership is written by men. We hardly ever see women. I mean, I'm glad you're doing this because you hardly ever see any material that is written by women. So we tend to want to emulate men. But I think that women need to lead as women, not like men. Yeah, that's one very significant thing that I felt. It means that you're walking through uncharted territory, or you're seeking for yourself mentors. Women, reading up on women leaders, different individuals, so that you can glean truth and wisdom from that. And like I said, I'm glad you're doing this. The other thing is surrounding yourself with people who complement you, being clear and aware of your own limitations, but not allowing them to limit your leadership, but in a sense building a team of people. It could be within the organization that you're leading, but it could also mean fishing outside that particular pool and getting people who can support your leadership with the things that you yourself don't have. And the other one is learning to take risks. That's probably for me because I'm not a risk taker. Yeah.
But I think it's an important one too, because as a leader, you have to take risks, or you don't grow as individuals or as an organization or as an initiative. You don't grow. As uncomfortable as it is, I can appreciate that. Now, how do you make sure you continue to be true to yourself while you continue to dedicate a lot of your energy and time to your career?
How do I ensure that?
Yes.
I think that's a tough one. I think I have to keep a mirror available. For me, it's my faith, but it's also the men and women of faith that I surround myself with, who will mirror the effectiveness of what I'm doing. Help me to sharpen myself, but also show me when I cease to add value to the roles that I have taken up, the leadership roles that I've taken up.
The other one that I also think, based on what you've said earlier, is also that you've made choices with your family, that your family is first, and your career has to work around that, not the other way around, which also probably helps with that, would be my guess.
Yes, it certainly does. It certainly does.
So, if there was one thing you could do differently in this career, that you could wave this magic wand, if you will, and do it over again, what would that be?
think I would be more courageous as a leader. I think I have been a hesitant leader. I started off very hesitant and therefore did not fulfill the role adequately, because I was constantly thinking, constantly feeling like, am I being, maybe just not being bold enough. I think I'll just leave it at that with some of the choices and decisions that I was making. Yeah.
I have to ask this question. Do you have a lot of self-talk? Do you know what I mean by self-talk, where you're making decisions that it's almost like you're having internal chatter within yourself saying, should we take that chance? Shouldn't we take that chance? Does that happen to you too much?
I think up until the place where something is locked in, I'm constantly looking at it from all sides, constantly evaluating, rethinking, looking at the other options that are available. So yes, I think I do have a lot of conversations with myself.
But it's got you successful, so those must have been good conversations. So what's next for you?
Oh wow! Like I said, I know that God has placed me in this place in this season, and that's enough. I am studying for a doctorate in ministry at AIU.
Okay, wonderful.
And as far as I perceive, that is to enhance my ministry here, my work here. But I don't know what God has in store.
Wonderful. Given the chance, what would you love to do that you haven't done yet?
That's leadership oriented.
Anything. The world is your oyster.
I think I would love to climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
Just a few more questions, and these are a couple of them are reflective questions. Now, you have how many kids?
We have 4 kids. My husband and I have 4 kids.
4 kids.
Yes.
Wonderful. Now, how old are your children?
Our oldest is 24. She's planning on getting married. Then we have a 22-year-old, and then we have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old. So the 4 of them came in 5 years.
And they're all leaving soon?
Well, yes, they're all leaving the nest, yes, that's true.
Let's take your 24-year-old, and let's pretend today she's 10 years old. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your 10-year-old daughter?
I think I would tell her to enjoy every stage of her life, not to rush anything. I think I would tell her that she was made for greatness.
I just got shivers. What do you wish someone told you when you were that age?
That women can lead and lead well. Yeah. I wish I heard that.
Which kind of leads to our final words of wisdom. What words of wisdom would you like to impart to African women?
African women are often, you are often at the bottom, considered the weakest of the weak. But just to survive in that space, you have to deploy every single strength and gifting that you have. So within yourself, you have the capacity for greatness, great leadership. Because you already are a survivor, you already are stretched, and from that place you can just go up.
Wonderful words of wisdom, Joyce. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Again, my name is Suzanne F Stevens, and I co-produce the Wisdom Exchange TV with my husband, Michael K. Ginrich. We are traveling through Africa for the next year plus, interviewing women like Joyce in philanthropy, politics, education, and business. If you know a woman that we should research and try to get an interview with, we'd really appreciate your help. Please email us at info@wisdomexchangetv.com with that name. Also, I would recommend you subscribe to Wisdom Exchange TV. It's free, and this way we'll let you know as we update every new interview, which you can hear audio, visual, or you can take the PDF and use it as a resource for the future. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in our next interview. And my name, as I said, is Suzanne F. Stevens, and my words of wisdom to you are, take the courage to do something different. Not what you did yesterday or the day before, but tomorrow, do something you've never done before. You'll find an enhanced version of yourself. Thank you.